Nice to be back. I've decided that I'm going to start these this way now. No intro. But hi, Grant and Mike. Feels a while since we've had the three of us on. It hasn't actually. We sorry that we've missed it last week. We've had our heads buried in the LARP NFT stuff and making sure that we have enough to give you guys for when that launches. But just a quick side note to say thanks for the response to that announcement week before last. Kind of blew us all away, really, and makes this whole thing worthwhile because there's a hell of a lot of work goes on behind the scenes for a very lean team. So, just a quick note on that one. And if you guys want to throw anything in there.
I've probably bored everyone to death with it on a couple of podcasts now, so I won't. I'll just leave it. I'll just leave the link below. I won't drive you insane by me rabbiting on anymore.
Well, I thought I'd just throw it in there. But yeah, we are back. Only for a short while because we've got a few of us going out over the next few weeks for some well-deserved breaks here and there. But then in the next couple of weeks, we'll be back to our usual twice a week, and we might start up in it as well, depending on the response that we get, because we know you guys like this one. So, in the essence of time, I'll jump straight into the prices and flows. So, updated this morning. So we've got Bitcoin up to 26,820, up 1.5%. ETH is at 1,729, up 0.3%. Total market cap is at 1.1 trillion. We've seen some Binance outflows of minus 159 million. And then I'm going to throw the rest over to one of you willing volunteers.
I just added this morning. So DeFi Llama inflows for specific chains. So I've been keeping an eye on these recently, and ZK Sync's had around 5.4 million inflows over the last 24 hours, but only a net flow of positive 2.6 million. I think that's people using the bridge and bridging in and out of it and then repeatedly doing it, because there isn't that much discrepancy between inflows and outflows, and they're quite evenly matched, even though they are positive. But I can imagine that balances out over time. So I think that's people just effectively trying to game the system there. But Aurora, which is like the EVM from the NEAR blockchain, seems to have, and it was a really, really specific amount. It was like 1.8 million, bang on the dot. No more, no less. It was like 1.8 million. So it looks like it's a series of smaller transactions that amount to that, or just one transaction. 2 seconds. Series popping up. Piss off. Or it's just a series of transactions that add up to 1.8 million, whereas the outflows have only been $1,700. So it seems like, for me, it feels like someone knows something, and there has been rumors around NEAR having an L2 on Ethereum, so I'd keep a close eye on that. But I think it's a bit of a fucking ghost VC chain anyway. And basically, fear and greed. I actually haven't updated that, so I don't know what that is.
So we'll just bounce over fear and greed today.
Do you feel greedy or fearful?
I'm just like in the neutral camp again, I think.
Yeah, is it possible to feel both?
Yeah. Above 30k, maybe bullish, and like greedy. Well, probably more towards greedy at that point. But
I think the only thing I feel is just ready to be in a field at Glastonbury for the next week.
Yeah, don't blame me, to be honest.
No, but biggest win is Bitcoin dominance. Mike?
Really, there's like it's broken out the trend in terms of Bitcoin dominance. So the question is really, if we do see Bitcoin run, is that the dominating force for now over alts? And that usually we'll probably see alts continue to bleed, or in a normal cycle situation, but we're still again very much in just like a sort of halfway house with a chopping range with Bitcoin still. I know we've had some sort of better news, shall we say, come out the camp in recent days, but it hasn't moved the needle that much really in terms of volumes, etc. You've still seen equities being absolutely rampant as well, but
it was weird. Like the BlackRock news came out, and then I was like, am I missing something here? Because nothing's happening. Like I was just looking at the price, and it was just like nothing was happening. And it came out from multiple different news outlets. And I was like, this is huge. Why isn't anything happening? It was so weird that it just took so long to actually move.
Well, so there was the counterforce as well in terms of like the CZ stuff last week, and then things just didn't move for that either. So it's like, so nothing affects us now.
There's only us three trading against each other. That's why. It's like, I was waiting for you two to buy, and then you buy.
I think we'll have to move to when marketing and when dev do something.
Oh no, Mike, you've been dreaming about that last night, haven't you? I know what that means, reading between the lines.
Oh, Jesus. When marketing, get Bitcoin to pump, because at the moment nothing will.
That is.
I think people are silly for being sat in anything else at the minute as well. To be fair,
I'm definitely not.
I'm only saying that because I've got more Bitcoin than I've ever held. Come on, buy it from me.
Go on. What else is on there?
Frax is up 7-ish%. But I didn't realize how high the Frax market cap was. 410 million. It's up on the announcement of the Frax chain, which will potentially use Frax ETH, so like a liquid staking derivative of the ETH, which is Frax's wrapper on top of it as the gas token, which I think you're going to see an awful lot of other projects do. Unsheath are apparently creating their L2 as well. L2s are just going to be the new ERC20 tokens. Like everyone's going to have one. Just going to fragment liquidity. So like the best players around the back of that would be looking at something that connects it all. So you've got to think about the zeros and Orbiter decks and maybe even signups as well if they can get going. But I don't know. It's going to be a weird couple of years while everyone figures that one out. And then, but yeah, on that as well, I don't really feel like it needs too much of a repricing at its current prices. It seems a little bit already inflated, to be honest, even if it's going to be priced in as an L2. And I think it discounts L2s across the board with their valuations, given that everyone's going to have a fucking L2 soon as well. And yeah, and then Stacks just moves with Bitcoin as it's technically an L2. But it's got a lot of good updates coming as well. That's going to actually make it usable instead of waiting 15 minutes for a transaction on there. So yeah, they're the only ones out of the top movers that I've seen that were kind of worth commenting on, I think.
Fair enough. I'm just deliberating whether we want to go further down the kind of the Bitcoin route, especially with what you're saying, Grant, there about it being your biggest holding by far for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously my thinking around it is if the BlackRock ETF finally gets approved, Trust ETF, whatever you want to call it, if you're debating over those kind of tiny nuances, you need to get a fucking grip of your life and go and do something outside. But if they get approved, that sets a framework for everyone else who's applied over the years to then go effectively look at exactly what they've done and then get the same approval. And there's absolutely no way on earth that other people that have kind of approached the SEC to be licensed for this over the past couple of years, and there's been countless ones. I think if BlackRock gets approved, like regulatory floodgates get opened with regards to Bitcoin ETF and the spot ETF, and then once that happens, every time that goes live, there's a sell-off. It's been like the age-old kind of cycle of how that thing plays out, and then the Ethereum spot ETF narrative starts to emerge. So it's just rinse and repeat. But we've never really had a successful spot ETF where people are actually going to have to actually buy the underlying Bitcoin, which is hence why everyone's cautiously optimistic about it. But we'll just see who's really in control. Is it the SEC or is it the biggest asset manager on the planet?
Yeah,
I think it's the latter, to be honest.
There was I can't remember who it was. There was also someone else that was on the room mill yesterday that they're going to apply for an ETF as well. So, like you say, it just backs up.
I'm applying for one. I'm applying for one. It's going to be an L2.
He backs up that thesis that like it will open the floodgates. I think because everyone will just want 1-1 really.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
But then the Ethereum spot ETF starts to become like a narrative again. So it's, but yeah, Ethan really moved. Bitcoin's looks pretty strong. Again, nowhere near as strong as it should do. If that news is announced in a roaring bull market, it's going ballistic.
Yeah. One day. I'm not going to bar everyone with my moaning about that shit.
Al, you might have to leave. That might be the only option.
Yeah, I have thought.
You have to fall on the sword so we can succeed.
I have thought about this many, many times. Hey, we're flying through today. So onto the fun stuff, news. And what do we all love? Ducon news.
Yeah,
So what the fuck's going on here?
Rocker, isn't he?
He is, isn't he?
Yeah.
I guess like of all the crimes he's committed, the one they've got him on is a dodgy fucking passport. Like for a 4-month jail sentence. It's just like a bit insane, really. Yeah. It just seems to be across the board that they can't ever make the real charges stick for like wire fraud and etc., whatever it may be that these guys have committed. But they can get on these little shitty charges. So
yeah, it's just like a constant effort to just keep pinning down, isn't it? Like you just know the conversations that are going on in those rooms. But he still looks a little bit too happy across the internet for my liking.
Is he still like really fat?
Michael.
Well, he was looking when they released that photo. He looked pretty large.
No,
he must
no fat shaming on here.
Must mean well, he must have been living some pretty good life on everyone else's money that he embezzled away.
Of course, he had been, man. If people still think that, then they're gonna. If he's not kind of got that hidden away somewhere, living large, ordering Domino's every night, then they're mistaken.
Is that what he is? That his takeaway of choice? Like, multi-millionaire, just Domino's.
If we say that here, the block will end up picking that up and running with it as like a factual story.
Yeah, he used to order 2 garlic and herb dips large and smash them both. 1200 calories.
Oh yeah, that's
350 calories in one of them.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely mental.
Yeah. I'd inject that stuff into my eyeballs. It's unreal.
Yeah, it's good shit. It is good shit. FTX fees totaled 122 million.
Yeah, well, it's just like it's again. They come in to sort these companies out, and it's like with bankruptcy and everything like that, and then they charge extortionate fees, and it's happened time and time again. So all that money that might be there is just getting eaten into, which is essentially customer funds, and aren't they like essentially there to protect the customer funds in a way? So it doesn't quite marry up when you look at it. So and then obviously there's rumours about them opening up FTX 2.0. So maybe Sam was right about bankruptcy being the worst thing that they could have done, and maybe they could have survived. But again, that's speculation. It's just what I've been reading this morning. Like if they get fee accrual from keeping the exchange open, then maybe they could have got the money back if they hadn't declared bankruptcy. But I guess we'll never know on that in that part. But it just does seem a bit dodgy how much these guys charge. They don't have a fucking clue about like on-chain, on-chain anything really, do they? Didn't they get themselves liquidated on Aave, trying to get the funds out?
It happens to the best of us, Michael, right?
Yeah, but when you got supposed experts in charge, like leading the charge to get all the money back, and they're getting stuff like that, I don't think it's quite right. But when is everything with the US government?
Have you read this? Restructuring consultants at Alvarez and Marshall charged $37 million with over $1.1 million in expenses that included $51,225 in meals, $149,155 in lodging, and other miscellaneous items amounting to $2,000, roughly $2,000.
What are you finding under that miscellaneous list there?
So it's only $2,000. Bus tickets.
Yeah.
I fret about putting some coffees through my business account.
Hey, don't say that, mate. He'll get you.
Oh, yeah, well, they're all,
Yeah, so
business
it's been-
they're all business meetings anyway.
686 hours and build per file. FTI consulting spends 686 hours and build fees of 762,000
Jeez.
on workstream titled Exchange Restart.
It hasn't restarted.
Yeah.
But like the best scams are the ones that are legal, aren't they? So
Yeah.
Yeah. What
You're
chance
not
of
wrong.
it?
we're in the wrong business. We're pivoting. We're pivoting
Yeah.
again for the 5th time this week. We're
Yeah,
going into corporate liquidation restructuring. Mates.
Speaking of legal scams and the best of the best, let's talk about the UK crypto regulation.
Are we looking good? What's happening?
They're in the
yeah,
so it's
final
passed through the House of Commons, the House of Lords, for this financial regulation law or whatever it is. So it'll be in the final stages of passing, essentially. And I think it's going to look a bit like the EU sort of bill in terms of, I can't remember.
Is this going to be Micah?
Yeah, a bit like that.
Micah.
So that's what they're trying to like model it off, I think. So it could be quite inviting for investors or crypto companies coming to the UK if you like shit weather and and if you like London, which is a bit Marmite for me because it's busy as.
It's good for a night. Good for a night out. It's expensive.
Yeah. It's
You know
just
where you're
expensive
going.
as well. Well, Manchester's all right. It just rains all the time, so you can always come here.
Just
Yeah,
move to
I'm
Newcastle.
just-
Support the team.
Support the team. I'm just trying to find a
Project Mbappe.
Project Mbappe. UK government moves forward on financial markets bill for potential regulation of crypto. Yeah, pretty cool to see that, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess.
So,
Well,
all going to be dealing in Bitcoin.
yeah, God. Well, I also read news headline saying that the Bank of England are exploring, obviously, a CBDC.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Boris Johnson,
No,
one last swing of the bat to
if they did
down
one,
with the kids.
yeah, well, I guarantee it would be like that if they've actually made one. It wouldn't be pegged. It would just depeg and be some outside asset.
yeah, free floating currency.
Yeah.
Yeah. I reckon that's probably it. I'm not sure how much value we've delivered there, but I'd like to think there's a little bit of value.
Absolutely fuck all.
There's something in there.
I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. There was something in there, but you can probably tell that a couple of us are due a bit of a break. And Mike's juiced up as well.
I'm checking out.
I'm off. Yeah.
So am I. So sign up to the newsletter. Keep going on your quests for our LARP passes. We're working hard on that behind the scenes. I've already said that. And yeah, bye.
I might do a short one on Thursday if Mike's around.
Yeah, I'm around. We'll do one. It'll be chaos.
Why is Henry put 0 in the chat? Do we need to look at that before we sign off, Henry? 0 value added. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, we've added 0 value there. All right. Yeah.
Right.
See ya.